Meeting of May 17th, 2023 to order. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Yes. Basine?
Here.
Buffalo?
Here.
Campson?
Here.
Clanton?
Here.
Gabriel?
Present.
Jordan?
Here.
And Martin.
Present. Okay, can I get a motion to go into executive session?
Move we go into executive session.
Second. Thank you, Dr. Gabriel. Seconded.
Yes. You ready?
Yes.
Move that the members of the school board go into a closed session for the purposes which are set out in subsection A of section 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as amended for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of the school board of the city of Norfolk pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A1 of the Act. The subjects of this portion of the session are the discussion of personnel on today's regular personnel agenda, discussion or consideration of disciplinary and any other matters concerning students in Norfolk Public Schools that will involve the disclosure of information contained in the scholastic record pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A2 of the Act. The subjects of this portion of the session are the discussion of students on today's regular student agenda, support agenda, consultation with legal counsel, and briefing by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where discussion in open session would adversely affect the school board's negotiating or litigating posture, and consultation with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by counsel pursuant to subsections 2.2-3711A7 and 8 of the Act. The subjects of this portion of the session are those set above in subsections A and B of this motion. An unsolicited proposal concerning Maury High School filed with the board pursuant to the Public Private Educational Facilities and Infrastructure Act of 2002 and Board Policy DJFZ and proposed revised Family Life Education curriculum set for a vote on today's agenda. Basine? Aye. Buffalo?
Aye.
Campson?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
And Martin.
Aye. Okay. Business meeting to reconvene. Ms. Tanner, please call the roll.
Basine?
Here.
Buffalo? Here. Campson? Here. Clanton?
Present.
Gabriel?
Present.
Jordan?
Here.
Martin.
Present. Okay. Up first, we have the Pledge of Allegiance led by our school board representative, Naya Muir.
Good evening. We request that all cell phones and pagers to be turned off or to vibrate during the course of this meeting. Thank you. Please rise and remain standing for the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to adopt the school board business meeting agenda?
Madam Chair, I would like to offer an amendment to the agenda.
Okay.
I would like to add item 5.07, administrative action, Booker T. Washington STEAM High School. Second.
5.07.
5.07, yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's already been revised, so it'd be 5.05.
Is that?
Ms. Tanner, does everyone have an updated agenda?
Pat, you should have.
Yeah, the new one would be, because we're moving, we have those other two
Or
items.
do I have
we're
the
moving.
old one in front of me? Maybe
Yeah.
I'm the one with the wrong one.
New one.
Okay. Let's see.
Did you need this?
Yes, please.
It'd be 5.07.
Correct.
Yes.
Got it.
I don't have one.
And did I get a second?
Yes, I second it.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Tanner.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Campson?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin.
Aye. That in there. Okay. All Wonderful. Up next, we have our student performance. Ms. Tanner?
Channel 47 is going to, yes, Channel 47 is going to play the video, if you may do so now at this time.
Good evening, Chair Dr. Martin, Vice Chair Moore Buffalo, school board members, Dr. Birdsong, administration, and guests. My name is Zach Rooksby, and I'm the Senior Coordinator of Music and Theater Instruction for Norfolk Public Schools. I'm pleased to once again announce that Norfolk Public Schools has been honored by the National Association of Music Merchants as a 2023 Best Communities for Music Education. This award not only recognizes the outstanding work of our music teachers, but also acknowledges the continued support of the Norfolk community, school board, and school administration in supporting equitable access to high-quality music education in our schools. In honor of this award, tonight's presentation includes performances from our All-City Middle School Band and Orchestra. At the opening of the presentation, the All-City Band performed a movement from Scenes from an Ocean Voyage by Brian Balmages entitled Dolphins at Play. To end our presentation tonight, I hope you enjoy our All-City Orchestra's performance of Sahara Crossing by Richard Meyer. Thank you once again for your continued support of music education here in Norfolk Public Schools.
next we have the school board clerk's report. Ms. Tanner, go ahead.
Awesome. We have a full packed house in here tonight, so thank you for joining us here today. I want you to take a moment to look around the room. We have student artwork hanging in the hallway and this boardroom, and this from our students from Southside STEM Academy, Ruffner Academy, Willard, Norview, PB Young, and St. Helena Elementary Schools. Each month, we had a rotation of artwork to highlight our art students, coordinated by Georgiana Filio, the Senior Coordinator of Art Education. Let's give our students a round of applause for the group. Now, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Superintendent Dr. Birdsong, board members, and our viewers and people here on tonight, it gives me great honor to recognize our 2 school board student representatives for their service for the 2022-2023 school year. But first, I'd like to ask Dr. Birdsong and Dr. Martin to proceed to the podium. And after they have had an opportunity to get to the podium, I want all the full board members to come down to the front of the step and repeat.
Oh, that's the backdrop.
That is backdrop.
The NPS backdrop. But that's the official name.
Oh.
Okay, all board members, you can proceed to the backdrop. Uh-huh. Yes.
Let's change this, I guess.
And Dr. Birdsong, you at the first mic, and Dr. Martin, you stand at the second mic. This might get a little tight. There you go. Dr. Birdsong, Naya, and Jordan. Naya, stand forward, come forward first. Naya is our student school board representative for Norfolk Public Schools. She's a Maury High School senior. Let's give her a round of applause. Dr. Birdsong is going to give you a plaque which reads, "With sincere appreciation for your service as the City of Norfolk School Board student representatives for the 2022-23 school year. Thank you for your service." And before you go, Dr. Martin is going to give you a bronze medal that you can wear at graduation, along with your other adornments. Congratulations.
I can fluff it back out.
Awesome. Now, Jordan Wicker, we want you to come forward. Jordan Wicker is our alternate school board student representative. She is a senior at Lake Taylor High School. Let's give her a round of applause. And your plaque also reads, "With sincere appreciation for your service as the City of Norfolk School Board Student Representative Alternate for the 2022-23 school year." Congratulations. Yes, and Dr. Martin's going to give you also a medal for you to wear on graduation day. Let's give them another round of applause. And then we're going to do a receipt line so each one of the board members can shake their hands. And then we're going to take a group picture. Okay, just hop in there.
All right, turn in.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, for your service. Let's give them one more round of applause. Scholar seniors. And while you return to your seat, the clerk's report notes the following observances for May: Mental Health Awareness Month, National Physical Fitness and Sports Month, School Nurses Week was May 6th through the 12th, National School Nurses Day was May 10th, and we celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week May 8th through the 12th, and Teacher Appreciation Day on May 9th. And so we're just proud to be able to honor our staff members and our students during this time of month. And that concludes my report, Dr. Martin.
Thank you, Ms. Tanner. Up next, we have our superintendent's report by Dr. Birdsong.
Good evening, Chair Martin, Vice Chair Buffalo, members of our community and staff. Every month, we like to highlight all the wonderful things that our students have accomplished and all of the good teaching and learning going on in Norfolk Public Schools, and we will do so tonight. You will see in our video presentation a celebration of Norview High School's 100th year anniversary, and we celebrated that, and we were so excited. And also within the video, we have the closing of Tidewater Park and the presentation to our community, to the school staff, and to the children. It was a beautiful celebration. We had many, many community members who attended to include our mayor. Also, within the video, it will conclude with a tribute to Nicole Gregory. And as you know, Nicole Gregory, our principal of the CHKD mental health program, she passed away a couple of weeks ago. And tonight we again honor Ms. Gregory. She served the Norfolk Public Schools for 24 years. She served as a school counselor at Lafayette Winona Middle School. She was then promoted to assistant principal at Blair Middle School, then Norview Middle School, and then a promotion to Norview High School. And then she became the first appointed principal of the CHKD mental health program. And so again, this evening, we honor her and we wish her family well. 2 of her beautiful children are still in our schools, one at Norview High School and one at Norview Middle School. And they are our children, and we are committed to taking care of them. So without further ado, please roll the video.
Norview High School celebrated its 100th anniversary with a special program that highlighted the school's past, present, and future. Graduates, current students and staff, and the community were on hand to remember and recognize the significant role Norview High School has played in their lives.
Tonight celebrates the 100th year of Norview High School, and we all just came out here to celebrate and see all the alumni and family and friends come out and just support what a trip it's been for Norview. And it's just great to see everybody come out here and just have a great time and just reminisce about Norview.
It was just a wonderful experience to see our roll call, and we had several roll calls, and people just shared how not only did they go to Norview High School or graduate, but their parents went, or their sister, or their other family members went. So it was just a very great experience just to hear all the traditions that we have here at Norview High School.
One of the things that I've always said that I was so proud of was to be the first Norview graduate to get elected to Norfolk City Council. I sought for it, and I was so happy when I got elected in 1992. I love Norview, and I really enjoyed being here.
I graded the middle school, but I had the privilege of graduating from the high school in 1963. So I am one of the 17 who never quit. I was not treated as if I was wanted by anyone. Not school board, not principal, not teachers, not students. And yet, Norview helped to make me who I am today.
Once a pilot, always a pilot. Okay.
Tidewater Park Elementary has stood at the corner of Tidewater Drive and Brambleton Avenue for the last 59 years. Opening in January 1964 at a cost of $621,000, it was the city's first fully air-conditioned school with 16 classrooms and a 480 student capacity. With a declining enrollment and the revitalization of the surrounding neighborhood, Tidewater Park Elementary is set to close its doors for good at the end of the 2022-23 school year. To celebrate its long history in the community, a night of remembrance and performances was recently held.
Our Tidewater Park School reunion night event was a 5-star, fabulous event. We brought out the mayor of the city of Norfolk, the superintendent of schools, and school officials who really and thoroughly enjoyed the celebration of Tidewater Park School. being in its 59th year of education. I have had so many positive responses and reactions about the children's performance, people learning about the history of Tidewater Park School. It was a fantastic event.
Many students, teachers, and staff have combined to make Tidewater Park a staple in the community where children were educated and loved.
We have teachers here who are really concerned about our children and our community. We have teachers here who believe that these children can learn. They have a genuine love for our boys and girls, and they work hard to ensure that these boys and girls are educated and are well-rounded individuals. So that's what makes our boys and girls so successful when they're here with us, is that we embrace and encourage them to be all that they can be.
I really wanted them to excel, and that I expected them to excel, and they knew that I was passionate about their education. And I showed that by what I did and my staff did every day with them. And when they succeeded, it was so important to them as it was to us.
The way they genuinely love on the children and their authenticity of just being focused and ensuring that the children would learn, and they went all out, and Dr. Phillips had no problems walking the community, getting the parents engaged, involved, and things like that.
It's a lot of us kids, when we came to school, some of us came with empty bellies. And it was the cafeteria staff that knew these things and didn't mind giving us extra milk or extra slice of pizza. And so one of the reasons why I'm here today to remind the students that, listen, if I myself walk through these halls, come from Tidewater Park, I come here to show there's hope. It just don't stop here.
The common thread that is woven into its legacy has always been its strong and caring leadership.
I'm here just to close out the legacy with Dr. Spradley. She was an awesome leader. She was very dedicated. She cared about the children and just making sure that all of the resources were in place. Great administration.
The leadership is phenomenal. They're supportive, they're caring, they're loving, and the teachers are exactly the same way. And everybody believes that all children can learn no matter where they live.
Students and staff at Lake Taylor School invited parents, the community, and NPS administrators and board members into the school for their first ever iExpo. After a brief introduction in the media center, guests toured the building and visited classes from kindergarten through 8th grade to see how students are using technology every day.
Our iExpo was just a day where kids are showing the community what they've learned using their iPads. So they've used several different programs, Apple programs and other programs, from coding, Spiros robots to writing songs on GarageBand. We also became an Apple Pathway School. So this was a way to show the community what we're doing with Apple, and we've been invited to be an Apple Distinguished School.
It was fantastic. The cool thing was seeing all the different age groups just kind of working with technology, even the kindergartners just being able to manipulate their iPad to get their assignments done. It was really cool.
I think it's a great opportunity to come in and see what the children are doing day to day and see the hands-on that they're doing with. It's just remarkable how our little people to our big people are engaged in technology, and using that to the educational process is wonderful.
I hope our guests realize how important technology is in education. It's definitely something we have to embrace, and we have to keep moving forward with it. We can't, buy one set of iPads and think they're going to last for 20 years. If we want to give our students the quality education, we have to make sure that we give them all the resources that they need so they can be successful from here and moving forward.
The United Way of Southampton Roads gave teachers at Sherwood Forest Elementary a special gift on their annual Day of Action. A group of volunteers showed their appreciation to these educators by sprucing up the teachers' lounge and restocking their supply closet.
So today we are at Sherwood Forest, and we are overhauling this teacher's lounge. So we just want to make it a really great space for our teachers. We've put together some IKEA furniture and gotten that all set up, so we have some new tables and chairs. We're trying to kind of fix up some of the little details and just make it a nice new space for them that they can really come and relax and enjoy.
Well, as you know, Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up. Just a little way to say thank you for all that they do.
So it's just a little way, a little token to say thank you for all the little things that they do and give them a little bit of respite, a little bit of a break while they're on their planning or whatever they use the lounge for.
It makes us feel seen. It makes me feel seen a little bit, that our work isn't going underappreciated, and it's great. Yeah, it's a great place to take a break in. I think it's really pretty. It definitely lightens up the area and creates a really fun, safe space for teachers to go to. I really enjoy it.
Students and staff at Azalea Gardens Middle School can now learn sign language thanks to a new after-school club. Every week, they meet to learn new signs, play games, and find out more about deaf culture, which is important because there are deaf students at their school. In fact, 2 of those students often teach the club new signs, and they are glad their fellow classmates are interested in signing.
I feel like they want to know about selling a lynch. I feel great because it's made me feel happy to teach them.
I am trying to learn sign language for my little sister. It makes me kind of sad to know that I can communicate with others, but if I can't communicate with my own sister, then that kind of leaves her out. I don't ever want to leave her out.
It's always good to learn a little bit about another culture, and there's a lot of people around that are deaf and hard of hearing that just don't get the attention, and people just don't understand. So we like to make sure that all of our kids feel included in the school building and they can participate in whatever they want.
Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters held a special ceremony to dedicate their children's pavilion, which will provide inpatient mental health services to young people. With the possibility of housing 60 patients at a time in this brand new facility, Norfolk Public Schools teachers and staff will be on hand to assist these children with furthering their education during their stay.
It makes a world of difference, not just we have plenty of scientific evidence showing that having a hospital school is just incredibly meaningful for their overall clinical outcomes. But subjectively, anecdotally, we've heard from so many kids who say, if I hadn't had some way to continue the school while I was healing, while I was recovering, I would have had to take a year off.
We're hoping to provide them with the best education possible, but at the same time instilling in them that they can become whatever they want to be regardless of what they're going through. So to take their mind off of what they're struggling with, education will be the key to help them move forward.
Thank you. Okay, up next we have our citizens' comments on agenda items only. Ms. Tanner, would you please read the protocol for public comment?
Yes, for tonight's citizens' comments on agenda items only, we have 33 speakers. Today's speakers have signed up for public comments before the start of today's business meeting. If you would like to provide public comments for agenda items only, you are required to state the agenda items you are addressing prior to providing your public comments at this meeting. When your name is called, please come forward to the speaker's podium, state your name and whether you have a child in Norfolk Public Schools or if you are employed by the district, and state your agenda items. One person is to speak at a time. If you are representing a group, state the group's name. You may ask your group members to stand in place to be recognized. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes. A timer is set with an alarm that will signify the end of your speaking time. State your position and give facts and other relevant data. Avoid saying anything that identifies students or personnel information about individual employees. Personnel, disciplinary, and confidential matters may be addressed to the school board directly via email at schoolboard@npsk12.com. Comments should be addressed to the board and not addressed to an individual member. School board members do not respond to public comments at this time that they are given. Any written statements or supporting materials should be given to the clerk. Dr. Martin, our first speaker for today for agenda items only is Karen Runez, followed by Mel Price.
Good evening.
My name is Karen Reness. I'm here to represent the Ghent Neighborhood League. I have no children in Norfolk Public Schools, and I'm here to address agenda item 5.03, the PPEA. As I stated, I'm Karen Reness, and on behalf of the Ghent Neighborhood League, I would like to begin by stating our strong support for the students and teachers at Maury High School and our commitment to providing them with the best educational facility possible. We believe that by working together, we can achieve that goal and prevent the demolition of historic Maury High School, of the historic Maury High School building. We support a vote in favor of the PPEA as the means to achieve that important end. I was present at the December board meeting when the then chairman announced that the school board was in receipt of an unsolicited bid, or PPEA, for the future of Maury High School. I was hopeful and trusted the process. Further, I assured all who asked me that the school board would surely share the details about the PPEA proposal and establish a public comment period where the stakeholders could have a voice in the process. I was completely blindsided at the May 12th Ghent Task Force meeting when the now chairman announced that a vote on the PPEA would be taken at tonight's meeting with no opportunity to review the proposal. Worse, tonight's agenda suggests to someone who's not well-versed in the school board's parliamentary procedures that the board may have already made a decision about the future of Maury High School in a closed session, and that in a few minutes you will vote to accept or reject the PPEA with no more public comment than has come in tonight. This process is in direct contradiction to the Norfolk School Board's new strategic plan that highlights community engagement. And if you'll forgive me for quoting directly from your document, Objective 1 is to increase trust among NPS stakeholders through timely and transparent communications regarding division-level decisions. May I respectfully suggest that we have some work to do in achieving this objective. We reviewed the PPEA that was released last night and forwarded it to our members in adjacent civic leagues. We are ready to engage with you to come to a better outcome than was previously accepted by the school board on B2. Our general membership meeting is tonight, and we postponed our scheduled agenda in order to live stream this meeting and the upcoming vote. This is an issue of intense interest in our community. The PPEA is now in the public domain, and the GNL would like to work with the Norfolk Public Schools, the Norfolk School Board, and other stakeholders to restart the conversation and provide a state-of-the-art school building for our students, faculty, and a safe and inviting campus consistent with our neighborhood, and above all, an excellent education for our children. Thank you.
Next, we have Mel Price.
Good evening.
Good evening. Mel Price with WPA. I do not have a child at Maury High School, and I'm here for 5.03. Good evening, Dr. Birdsong, Mr. Fraley, and members of the Norfolk School Board. I'm Mel Price. I'm an architect, urban designer, and a lifelong resident of Norfolk. My company, WPA, submitted the unsolicited PPEA to you along with our partners at Heartland Construction, VMDO Architects, and Monument. As you're likely aware, we released our proprietary and confidential renderings yesterday because we care about the schools, the city, and an open, transparent, and educated public process. We've witnessed the community beginning to fracture over this issue, over conversations that were not fully informed, and we really empathize with people's frustration. We believe, as designers, that it's so much easier to have a healthy conversation when everyone can see what's being discussed. So much of the conversation about Maury has centered around who has the right to participate in the discussion. I'm not a parent, but I've spent 20 years of my career working with students, faculty, administrators, designing environments for learning. I want to make it very clear that the students are the priority, and we fully support Norfolk Public Schools' need for a new building. When NPS issued the RFP that HBA Architects responded to, you asked the question, should we renovate Maury or build new? HBA answered that question very well. When we saw the results of the study, we were not surprised, but we were saddened to see a building that the community cherishes slated for demolition. We wondered if perhaps there was another question that could be asked. Instead of a binary choice between renovate or tear down, what if we asked, what is the best way to use this entire 20-acre site in a way that supports Maury and the surrounding neighborhoods? We decided that we would study, give it a try, test some possible site solutions. Pretty quickly, it became clear that we could build new and save parts of the historic building. So if the old building was sold, renovated using historic tax credits, turned into something that could generate tax revenue to support NPS, the city, and meet community needs, wouldn't that be a win-win for everyone? So last November, our team acted quickly and we wrote the unsolicited PPA to provide some new ideas. Our proposal does the following: constructs a new modern school incorporating all of the spaces and the educational specifications, including all of the athletic facilities. Uses a build first, move second approach to make sure no one is in mobile classrooms or trailers. Avoids fracturing the community over demolition. Provides much needed housing for the community, including 10% affordable housing. Addresses larger community issues such as climate change, resilience, sustainability, neighborhood connectivity. Delivers the school on an accelerated schedule on the same budget. May I have 15 more seconds? No, okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Wick Knox, and if I pronounce that incorrectly, I apologize, you can correct me, followed by Alan Whitley. Oh, okay, thank you.
So my name is Wick Knox. I'm an architect with VMDO. I'm part of the team that submitted the proposal in Maury, and I do not have children in the school district. I'm still trying to get over the idea of building a school for $631,000. The world changes a lot in 62 years. When the Commonwealth of Virginia passed the Public-Private Education Facilities and Infrastructure Act 20 years ago, it acknowledged that there were situations in which public entities couldn't leverage all the opportunities and incentives available. The historic and endangered status of the original Maury High School brings with it tax incentives, but only for tax-paying entities. The real estate parcel provides more than enough space for a new school building, but there's not enough public dollars to build a new school and restore the historic building. This is exactly the type of situation that the Public-Private Education Act, or PPEA, was intended to address. Unfortunately, the dilemma I just described is what has driven much of the public discourse on the project. The feasibility study assumed tax incentives couldn't be used, so it produced that binary choice between renovate versus build new. Our team believes that we can do both. Our proposal calls for a brand new 4-story high school on the northern portion of the site. This building will accommodate approximately 1,900 students and contain all of the program spaces that are called for in your reimagined Maury educational specs that were produced in 2018. Through sustainable design approaches and high-performance systems, the new school will operate at 1/3 the cost of a typical NPS facility. A slightly elevated ground floor and solar-powered backup batteries in lieu of generators will provide much-needed resiliency for this area. And on top of it, all of these systems are eligible for significant tax breaks through the Inflation Reduction Act. Once the new building is complete, students and staff will move from Maury into the state-of-the-art school. At that point, we'll demolish the non-historic parts of Maury and complete a parking deck with a 6-court tennis facility on top. At the final phase, the historic Maury building would be sold to our design build development partner under terms that it will be fully restored per the strict conditions of historic tax credits and transformed into housing, with 10% of the units designated as affordable. Not only does this approach remove several $1 million of demolition and abatement costs from the school's project, but it also is anticipated to produce $26 million of property tax revenue over 50 years. According to policy, accepting this conceptual proposal only means accepting it for consideration. You would publish the non-proprietary parts of our proposal and give 90 days for anyone else to submit a competing proposal. At that stage, you could vote to reject all the proposals. You could choose one of them or 2 of them to continue to a more detailed phase, which is similar to traditional procurement. Following that process, you could move forward with contract negotiations with one team or reject them all. What we've presented to you, we believe, is a win-win solution, and our only request is that you consider it along with any other proposal you've received after this.
Thank you.
Alan Whitley.
Good evening.
Good evening to the distinguished board members, and Madam Chair. I am a representative of the Booker T. Washington High School of Academy and Visual Performing Arts alumni. I am coming in regards to the name change of the Booker T. Washington High School Auditorium to the S.L. Roundtree Theater at Booker T. Washington High School. There is a rich history in Booker T. Washington Auditorium that has lasted through several school years. There is a rich history that the Booker T. Washington Auditorium has provided across the school board, as we just saw from the video. People have performed there. We are looking to change the name in honor of Mr. S.L. Roundtree, who has worked for Norfolk Public Schools for over 45 years, 30 years, which was at Booker T. Washington High School. I previously contacted the school board office and was advised by Ms. Margie Stallings that it wouldn't be an issue, as well as I've spoken to other members of the board. And so that is my point. We want to change the Booker T. Washington Auditorium name to the S.L. Roundtree Theater at Booker T. Washington High School.
Thank you. Okay. Elise Therier, and please correct me when you get to the mic. Followed by Richard Levin.
My name is Elise Theuer, and my grandfather graduated from Maury High School. Both of my parents graduated from Maury High School, and my youngest son graduated from Maury High School. And there are about 90 years between those because people in my family have children late. So my family has a long history with Maury. I also am a resident of Ghent. And I can't really say it better than it's already been said, but I do feel that renovating Maury for residential life and giving the students a new state-of-the-art school is the best way to handle this. So I really hope that you vote in support of giving this proposal a really close look. And I would also suggest, I think when you're nominated for a board or you're elected for city council, when that happens, sometimes you are stunned by public vitriol. The people just get mad at you for the strangest reasons, and sometimes you feel like you can't do or say anything right. I would suggest that one of the most important things you can do is be transparent and try not to do things behind closed doors where people feel, whether it's true or not, that secrecy is happening, because it annoys people. It annoys your constituents. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope that Maury is saved.
Next, we have Richard Levine, followed by John Sitka. If I pronounced your last name incorrectly, please let me know.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Richard Levine, and I'm honored to be able to address y'all this evening. Y'all should be proud of what's been accomplished in Norfolk Public Schools. I'm here sharing my heart because I am passionate about this issue of saving Maury High School and older buildings. I can't think of one building that's been torn down in this city that we probably would not want to have it back today for what's been built. Maury High School has a very rich tradition. It's the heart and soul of Ghent. It really, truly is. It's not just a school. It's our heart. My parents went there. My sisters went there. Family went there. It's a magnificent structure. It's been actually written up as one of the most important, distinguished buildings, school buildings in the South, in the whole South. To tear that building down is a sin. It really, truly is. It would be heartbreaking. Please think about that. There's another way to do this and save our school. We really can save it. You know, I think one of the most important things we can teach our children is preservation. Everything old is not bad. You look at universities all over the country, people fight to get into Harvard and to all the schools that are older. Howard University in Washington, or Georgetown in Washington, or whatever it may be. It's not the buildings. the buildings actually would send a wonderful message to our children that it's important. It's so important. Please don't turn our backs on that school. It's 113 years old. It deserves to be saved. Honest to God, it does. And there's probably more than one way to skin a cat. I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing as private donations, whether you all can accept that for school or whatever, raise money for the school. There's other ways. There's money available. I mean, my phone is rung off the hook. People who graduated Maury who said, don't let that school get torn down. We'll send money. If it's a matter of $1, I mean, the dollars come and they go. They really do. But those buildings, once they're down, they're gone forever. And we're depriving our children of this rich heritage. Please, God, do the right thing here and save that school. Thank you.
John Sitka, followed by Colin Kelly.
Good evening, school board.
Good evening.
Good to see y'all again. Dr. Birdsong, Dr. Martin. First of all, I'd like to commend each of you for following this Virginia code to do a review of the family life education, which is required every 7 years. However, I noticed this curriculum actually comes entirely from Planned Parenthood in the League of Massachusetts. Are you saying to me we couldn't find one of our many prestigious universities here in Virginia to come up with an appropriate curriculum? That we had to go out of state? I have a letter here, a copy of a letter that went to the Superintendent Birdsong from the Department of Education dated May 15, 2023, from the Superintendent of Public Instructions, Lisa Coons. And I'm going to be calling out certain excerpts from this document. I'm sure y'all have seen, all of y'all have seen this document concerning it. One of the things is the curriculum was considered not appropriate as set forth by Virginia Code 22.1-207.1. Again, we're teaching children as young as 12 how to role play scenarios in classes with their peers, which is not age appropriate. And the other thing is, they didn't really cover much on absence, it was all on protection. Well, by not covering absence, keep in mind there are consequences and psychological repercussions by just absence could eliminate. I do want to also cover quickly, when you are presenting this material, it has to be where the parents have to have approval. Not just giving a little paper consent that they just see, but are they aware of the curriculum? And I don't mean, well, they can go online and look at it. You may need to send it to them. Because by not doing it, the school board and the teachers may be subject to Virginia Code 18.2, 374.4, display of child pornography or grooming video material, child unlawfully. Don't put yourself in that position. Between parents and the state attorney general, there may be some difficulties. So make sure you cover all your bases. Secondly, how bad is our old curriculum? I have something here from the Virginia Department of Health statistics. For in the past 15 years, pregnancies have dropped 43 to 17%, or 17 people. That's over 50%. So you got a grant from EVMA. Could we not do a better job with it? Also, keep in mind, I know from being here at the school board and speaking before, a lot of people who speak, and I'm kind of disheartened, sometimes what we say gets disregarded because it's public comment, and as they say, y'all have already made y'all's decision. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Colin Kelly, followed by Jennifer Gruber.
Good evening. My name is Colin Kelly. I'm a resident. I have no children in the school district right now, and I'm here to address family life curriculum. I'm going to start off going down a little bit of a different path. I'm a relatively new resident to the city of Richmond, and many times from where I came from or wherever, even around here, visiting people in Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, they say, why did you move to Norfolk? They have horrible schools. Aren't you concerned about it? And of course, I refute them. I say, no, it's a great place. Where I live, great neighbors, great neighborhood, restaurants, bars, the life here is great. But they kept persisting. So I went out to the Virginia website called schoolquality.virginia.gov to get some statistics on some of the basic metrics involving education. The results were very, very discouraging. It's obvious to me that NPS has been, is, and will likely continue to not meet the standards established 10 years ago by the Every Student Succeeds Act. The statistics are very, very poor. I've sent you all an email with this back on April 18th. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but the statistics are horrible. The dropout rate in Norfolk is 3 times that of Chesapeake and Virginia Beach. Now, not to say that there aren't good people inside this district, many people working hard trying to address these issues and improve upon them, but the failures have been there, and they've been there for 10, 15, maybe even longer, about far back as the database goes. I'm a person that believes that, you can criticize, but also come to the table with some solutions. In that letter, the email that I sent you all, I provided 4 simple solutions. The first one I'll just reiterate. First, get back to basic educational issues like chronic absenteeism, dropout rates, subject competency, accreditation of schools, and making the schools a safe place to learn. They're all lacking when you look at the metrics. Very, very poor compared to neighbors. Again, stepping back to my opening comment, why live in Norfolk when you could just move 2 miles to Virginia Beach or Chesapeake, a family moving into this area? I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen in the future. Progressing to the point of the Get Real Family Life curriculum, I think NPS should defer all discussions on any items, decisions regarding changing the curriculum to address woke ideology and agendas like the Get Real Family Life education. You're taking a teacher's valuable time to train them and then take an hour out of class, whether it's once a day or once a week, for them to do this Get Real program versus the math, the sciences, the reading, the literature that you are so desperately failing, for lack of a better word. The detailed analysis, I could go through it, and there's handouts been passed around here. Sadly, Norfolk has the competency rate of its graduates is 61%. Virginia Beach, 81%. Chesapeake, 78%. Math, 47%. Virginia Beach, 77%. You're like half of your neighboring school districts. So I'm sorry, I'd like to continue with that, but my time's up, and thank you for allowing me to speak out.
Okay, it's Jennifer Gruber, followed by Sylvia Bryant.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, Norfolk School Board members. Thank you for allowing me to speak. In healthy relationships, we listen to each other. We don't talk past each other. We listen to understand, not wait impatiently for the other person to finish so we can share our point of view. I believe the Norfolk School Board had the intention to engage with parents and community members, but the execution did not align with the intention. For instance, during the development of the curriculum, community and religious leaders were not contacted for input. Once the curriculum was completed, they also did not receive links to the material, nor were they notified of the parental forums. Parents were also not engaged in the process. The first round of in-person parental forums were announced via email on Friday, March 17th, and held on Wednesday, March 22nd, Thursday, March 23rd, and Monday, March 27th. There were very little lead time. They were also held at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. is a very difficult time for a working adult to attend an hour-long meeting, let alone a parent with children. The link on the MPS website with relevant information, such as PDFs for the course curriculum, was also very hard to find. None of the emails nor robocalls were translated into other languages, such as Spanish, which in effect excluded parents who do not speak English as their primary language. I am personally grateful to the board for allowing a second round of in-person parental forums for the Family Life Education curriculum. But sadly, again, the intention of community engagement did not match the execution. The specific forum dates were announced via email on Monday, April 17th, and the first one was held on Tuesday, April 18th, then Thursday, April 20th, and then Wednesday, April 26th, giving parents who wanted to attend inadequate notice. Again, all the meetings were held from 5 to 6 p.m. for an hour. I know parents who really wanted to attend and they just could not rearrange their schedules with so little notice. School board members, we as parents, we want to feel that we are partners with you and that you are serving as our elected officials to work with us in the education of our children. One of the 5-year strategic planning strategies of the board reads, "We will empower and facilitate meaningful family and community partnerships." It lists community, family, parent engagement as a big idea. Regarding the execution of the updated family life curriculum, are you in line with your strategic plan? Many parents and community members feel you are not. Please align your intentions with your strategic plan and perform meaningful, effective engagement with parents and the community. Please table the vote and do true engagement. I close with suggestions. Direct the superintendent to hold in-person meetings at 7 p.m. in a school in every ward. Hold an additional meeting in the school in the morning for those who can't get out at night. Provide at least 10 business days notice so parents can rearrange their schedules and attend. Attend some of those meetings yourselves and engage with the community. Direct the superintendent to contact religious and community leaders directly and provide them with links to the middle school and high school curriculum. Invite them to attend the forums. Send out emails and robocalls in Spanish and other languages that the Norfolk families need. Email links to the middle school and high school in other languages. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sylvia Bryant, followed by Stacy Crawshaw.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen of the school board and school administrators. My name is Sylvia Bryant, and I am a parent of a Norfolk Public School student. I believe that it is vital for the school board to work together with parents and educators to find a balanced approach to comprehensive sex education. This approach should respect the rights of parents, maintain a focus on academic objectives, and ensure that the emotional well-being and age appropriateness of students are taken into consideration. I stand before you today to express my concerns regarding the inclusion of certain topics such as masturbation, homosexuality, lesbianism, and condom demonstration as part of the family life curriculum in our classrooms. While I understand the importance of comprehensive sex education and promoting inclusivity, I believe it is essential to consider the appropriateness of discussing these subjects within the classroom setting. First and foremost, it is crucial to acknowledge the diverse culture, religious, and moral values within our community. Introducing explicit discussions about sexual behaviors may conflict with the beliefs and values of many families. It is important to respect the rights of parents to determine the appropriate time and place for that conversation with their children. Furthermore, the classroom environment should prioritize academic learning and personal development in areas such as mathematics, science, literature, and critical thinking. By introducing explicit sexual topics, we risk shifting the focus away from core educational objectives and potentially creating an uncomfortable or distracting learning environment for the student. Additionally, the introduction of these sensitive topics in the classroom may inadvertently expose students to explicit content at an age when they may not be emotionally prepared to handle it. It is crucial to consider the potential consequences of exposing young minds to explicit discussions that could lead to confusion, anxiety, or premature exposure to adult themes. Rather than discussing explicit sexual topics in the classroom, we should focus on creating an atmosphere that promotes respect, empathy, and understanding among students. Encouraging acceptance and tolerance and open-mindedness toward diverse individuals and communities can be achieved without delving into this explicit details about sexual behaviors. In conclusion, I urge the school board to carefully reconsider the inclusion of the sexually explicit topics as part of the family life curriculum in our classrooms in Norfolk. Let us prioritize an inclusive, respectful, and academically focused environment that promotes understanding and personal growth while respecting the diverse beliefs and values of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy Crawshaw, followed by Marianne McKay. Stacy here? Okay. Marianne McKay.
Good evening. My name is Mary Ann McKay, and I am co-chair of the Education Committee for the Hampton Roads Black Caucus. I feel like I need to explain because obviously I'm not African American. I was approached and encouraged to join the organization because I shared the values, the 4 pillars that the organization stood for, or it stands for, and I have been involved in education for 30 years as a career academic and financial aid counselor at the Educational Opportunity Center, which is funded by the U.S. Department of Education, and target population is low income and first generation. I have just now moved into the position, but I've gotten to know some people at Young Terrace, and as I get to know them, their concerns in terms of education is dealing with safety, academics, and I'm one of those that believes that there is a disparity in terms of economics between blacks and whites. And I just think that one of the best ways of working toward that is through education, but it has to be quality education. It has to be excellence in education. And that's one of my concerns, is that time is spent in other areas with the life family planning as opposed to the math, the English, the basic fundamental skills. Also, they're telling me one of their concerns is safety and the bullying. And my question is, if you're in tune with your constituents, and I understand that the grant is being paid for by EVMS, but has it occurred to anybody to let them know that some of the needs really are mental health issues, also in terms of safety and approaching and addressing those needs? And I guess I would just ask you to look at that and make that a priority, because that's what I'm hearing is their greatest concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Rashida Bess.
Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you. I was just looking for water, but we're going to get through this. So I am here to speak. Oh, thank you. This is going to cut into my time. I'll wait. I'm coming to speak about the Family Life Program, and I'm coming to you as a parent. 4 children have been through Norfolk Public Schools. I experienced this program for 2 years, the first time last year, and then this summer. And it was a beautiful experience. It was an experience that exposed my son, who at the time was 13, and my daughter, when she first took the class, was 10, and 11. And they were exposed to some very challenging information, some very well thought out, well organized curriculum. I'll say that first, because it was very well thought out, very well orchestrated. And the thing that I want you to leave with is that despite my fears, my concerns, my discomfort, and even knowing that they were young and vulnerable and impressionable, the end result was 2 young people who are empowered, not were, are, because now they're both in middle school. One's on his way to high school next year. They are honor roll students. They are brave. They are open. They are thriving, not just in school, but also in the fact that they know what relationships look like. They know what healthy relationships look like. They're comfortable talking about themselves. They have a sense of power about who they are because they know that, from the very physical parts to the emotional parts to the parts that they may not have felt comfortable discussing with me and their father, but they know it. And so the tradition of excellence in any education system, in any society, any community, is people who are empowered, people who are resilient, people who are whole and full, and that begins with them knowing themselves. So if there is a curriculum that the school district can employ that will do that for our children, I'm here for it. I'm a testament to say that it has empowered them to deal with bullying, to deal with relationships, to deal with inappropriate sexual advances and conversations. It has let them know about their bodies, and most of all, it has let them be the people who are in control of themselves. So thank you.
Dalmo Giovanni. Dalmo Giovanni. Oh. Okay, thank you. I know it's tight. Thank you for your patience, everyone.
How you doing? Good evening. My name is Giovanni Domo. I am a parent here in Norfolk. I've been here for about 20 years. And I'm here to speak about the family life curriculum. It is a concern to me. Unfortunately, I don't agree with the young lady that came here before me. I have an 8-year-old, 14-year-old, and a 17-year-old. And this topic is something sensitive to me as not only a man, but a father. And I have 2 daughters and a son. These are topics that are very sensitive, and if it's not done right correctly, it might work for some parents, it might not work for other parents. It doesn't work for me because all children are not the same. And although this curriculum might be good for some kids, there are other kids that are aggressive. There are other kids who are probably been molested, probably been raped. You know, this might not be something that they're comfortable with. Us as parents, it's our job to protect our children. Not given a chance or an insight or an opportunity to say no or say, hey, this is not something for you guys to do, it's something for me to do. You know, it hurts me as a parent and as a citizen here. You know, you guys get voted in to do a job and to protect our children, not to go behind our backs or not give us any sense of making a decision, a big decision, especially when it comes to sex topic, for us to be included in. So I just pray that you guys are listening. I don't know if you guys are going to vote anyway, regardless of what anyone says here, but what you do does impact us as parents and my children, because then I got to go with, well, what happens if the curriculum is teaching things that I'm not ready to teach my, soon-to-be 10-year-old, because my youngest is 8. You know, me and my son speak about certain things. I don't want to speak about other things. I want him to focus on sports, getting his honors. I don't want him thinking about sex right now. We'll get to that when we get to that. Right now, you're a child, be a child, have fun, enjoy it. Sex ain't going anywhere. But I want the opportunity to do that. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Michelle Basket.
Good evening, board members. I'm Michelle Basket. I'm a grandmother. I don't have any children, any of my grandchildren in the Norfolk school system, but I have a great love for children. And I first want to say, I know all of you up there are well-intentioned. I know that you wouldn't be in the position you're in if you didn't truly love children and you were interested in their welfare. But I totally agree with the gentleman that was up here. I believe that this curriculum is not age appropriate. I believe that parents are the foremost educators of their children, and like he said, they know the right time, the when, the how, and the how much. We say we have these people that are going to be educated to teach the program, but what are their credentials? Have the parents been able to see if are they really able to teach these subjects? And for a parent to sit at home and not know, say the parent's given the objectives, they do not know how that teacher that's teaching the course is going to present it. Is she going to put her own influence in it? They are not there to witness that. So I think parents are very much concerned. And when the superintendent in Richmond wrote her letter of the concerns of the parents, I think that's very important to take into consideration her letter that the gentleman before that spoke about, and he again, she agrees it's not age appropriate. The parents were truly concerned. And once you start talking about sex outside of science and biology, you go into values. So it's not a value-free topic. And I think that's something that the parents should come up with. So I just pray that you table this and try to come up with I know there's a need for a program. I don't think this is the program. I think it undermines the religious faith of many parents. I looked at the vocabulary words. They're outrageous. And you're going to take away the innocence. This life is tough. You're going to take away the innocence of our children, and especially modesty, to put girls and boys together, and you're talking about their sexual organs and their functions. I think this is something that the parents should be able to do, or if you're truly concerned about the children, come up with a program that you can teach the parents. The parents that aren't able, they don't know how to go about it. Come up with a curriculum to teach parents. Have one night a week, 2 nights a week, once a month, where you teach parents and give them the help they need to discuss this, or other members of the family to discuss sexual issues. These are such sensitive issues, such controversial, and to pick a institution like Planned Parenthood that performs abortions and gives out birth control, I think it's a conflict of interest. I mean, it's in their favor for women to come in pregnant and for men not to know how to use rubbers correctly, or for women not to use their birth control correctly, and then to come in for abortions. It's such a conflict of interest. I think you could have come up with a better program, but I thank you for allowing me to talk.
Thank you.
Vic Nichols.
Vic Nichols. I do not have a student in MPS. I wanted to address 4.05. It really looks like there's pretty much what goes in here is anything that is abstaining from what can get you pregnant, because there's a whole lot of stuff about oral, anal, same-sex and stuff, and it's also into saying that you can have sex if you're not ready yet. One of the reasons why this is a problem is 25% of women were scared during sex by a recent study in Indiana University School of Public Health. That's because they were choked during that time. 13% of 14 to 17-year-old sexually active girls are also choked because of porn. They also showed vulvular fissures that are a sign of sexual assault, because the education that is given to them is porn aware. It doesn't feed into healthy mentality. There was a comment that we had by an African American mom over in Chesapeake. She said, "I want to stay here. I don't want to go to Norfolk. I don't want to go back there." You know why? It was because of the schools. So I want my kids to learn something. The dropout rate here is 5 times higher than Chesapeake. Your graduation rate in 2022 from the Virginia Department of Education, these are all stats from there, is only 0.4 more than Portsmouth. Your graduation rate, Virginia Beach is 10% higher. Xiaolin Li, one of the professors at ODU, compared Maury to Mao Tang Chang in Anhui. Compared 2 different schools, your best to one of their little tiny schools. He said the desire to learn and the motivation to succeed is gone. You need to start concentrating on something so controversial, teaches so many other things as other people have told you. And it's definitely not teaching women to be valued. Black student pass rates in Chesapeake blew away the statewide averages for that cohort, and in 6 schools, black students outperformed their white schoolmates in math head-to-head. In 2 elementary schools, black students outperformed their white classmates in 4th grade reading. Get on the academics. Get off the sex. Thank you.
Thank you. Seda Tyler, followed by Alice Allen Grimes.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am here to talk about 4.05. I'm here to talk about one that y'all didn't give time for the parents because it's a 400-page curriculum. That's just only from 6th grade to 8th grade. High school is 188 pages long, and that's from 9th to 12th. That many pages are not enough for all the parents to actually read through the curriculum, understand the curriculum, and see what actually their child is being taught. I am a parent of 3 that is in Norfolk Public School. I have a 6-year-old, I have a 11-year-old, and I have a 13-year-old. My 13-year-old and my 11-year-old, I do discuss about sexuality to them, but that is my choice because I am their parent. I feel that y'all are the school boards, y'all are the leaders of Norfolk before it comes down to the individual schools to make sure that our kids are getting educated and are having self-esteem about what they're doing with the curriculum of anal sex, masturbation, trying to find an identity in who they are. That is the parents' decision to do that. And I understand that y'all need money, but the thing is that y'all have not communicated to the community about the decline of money that y'all need. And having different programs in the school. One program that we all need in the school is having a program for self-esteem. A lot of these kids don't have self-esteem about stuff. They don't have respect for other students. You know, those things, this curriculum is not going to teach them that. This curriculum is just going to teach them to be sexuality. And then the thing is, it's confusing the child because a lot of our middle schools are in our elementary schools, like STEM and like Lake Taylor that we just seen. So not only are our middle school kids are learning about sex, now our kids that are like 3 and 4 years old that's going to these schools that are mixed are learning about sex too. Because kids don't be quiet, they talk. And even if a parent does opt out, their kid is still exposed to a sex talk with another student. And then that student would either demonize it because y'all have already made it clear that it's all right to discuss this stuff, and the child not knowing that there are certain students that don't want to listen to it, don't want to hear it. But as you're making it abroad, it does not help the mentally, physically, and spiritually does not help the child at all. And we are trying to help our children to better in academics, mentally better, physically better, and have self-esteem about themselves. And there are programs like...
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Alice Allen Grimes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Alice Allen Grimes. I'm here to speak on item 5.03, the PPEA unsolicited bid. I'm the parent of 2 Norfolk Public School graduates and served for 8 years as the Maury PTA liaison to the school board before any of y'all. In 2011, Preservation Virginia included Norfolk's public schools on its list of the 10 most endangered historic sites in Virginia. Since then, we have lost historic Larchmont and Ocean View elementary schools. Last week, Preservation Virginia included several historic high schools on the 2023 endangered list, including Maury. If this keeps up, I guess Norfolk schools won't make the list anymore because there won't be any historic schools left. I don't envy you the task of deciding the fate of Maury. I don't understand why it is left to a school board, people elected to oversee school policy and curricula, to make decisions whether or not to demolish some of our most important historic buildings. About 10 years ago, the school board voted unanimously against an unsolicited PPEA bid for 5 schools. The mayor didn't like the board's decision, so the city council took over and issued its own RFP, leaving out the school board. So why are you deciding about this unsolicited bid this time? Do you have the authority to do so? Are you going to be challenged? I hope somebody is looking into this issue because of what happened before. How can you approve a contractor to convert a historic school building to apartments when you won't own the building once you abandon it as a school? The city will own it then, right? Citizens cannot count on this plan going the way it seems right now, even if you approve it. Putting all that aside, I think it is wrong to jump on this proposal because you think it might be a way out of a dilemma. This plan is not a win-win because the students will lose. Just as the building can be renovated for apartments, it can even more easily be renovated as part of the school. That's what it's designed for. The students deserve to stride up those impressive steps as they enter school. They deserve the big halls and the remarkable auditorium. They'll have a big new addition with new gym, library, cafeteria, labs, etc. Don't send the students to that cold brick block depicted in the unsolicited bid. That plan is a lose-lose, except for the proponents who will make a lot of money, our tax money, while our kids go to school in that dreary, crammed warehouse. Don't rob our community and our future students of the opportunity to experience the iconic Maury High School. I urge you to vote against the unsolicited proposal and instead approve your architect's plan that renovates the 1911 historic building and retains it as part of the school. Remove everything that's been added to it and build a new addition. They didn't just give you a binary choice. Your architects gave you a compromise, concept B. The process as conducted has made no genuine effort to engage the public, and this latest round regarding the PPA has only caused confusion and uncertainty. Thank you.
Thank you. Pamela Brown.
Hello, I'm Pamela Brown. I live in Hyde Park in Norfolk. It's good to see the board this evening and everybody here. Honestly, I've never attended a school board meeting before. This is my first time ever.
Welcome.
And I didn't really think I'd be talking about the issue we're talking about, and it's the family life curriculum that's been proposed. I've been here for 30 years, and honestly, the Mermaid City, it really grows on you, okay? And I don't have any children in Norfolk Public Schools. The Lord's not blessed me with children. So I have a care for the city. I've come to love it here. I got concerned about this curriculum because a friend of mine has a child still in high school in Norfolk Public School, and she says, Pam, have you seen this? And I says, well, no. Most of us that don't have kids, we're kind of set aside from what's going on with the schools and things like that because we don't have kids. We're not as close to it. But I just really think we're focused on the wrong things. On Nextdoor today and a couple times a week, okay, there's pictures of fights going on in school, and here's one today of a teacher getting assaulted, okay? And then the figures that I saw on offenses against staff and students, not reported for Norfolk, but they are reported for Virginia and Virginia Beach and Chesapeake. I just think that we're way focused on the wrong things. Let's just get back to the basics. Let's talk about reading and math. And I know that Norfolk has done better before. I remember in 2001 under Dr. Simpson, we were getting awards for urban schools, weren't we? What's happened? I would ask that you table this. Maybe what we have is not adequate for our current needs, but I don't think this is the right curriculum. I think we table this and come up with something that is right for the times that we're living in. I just ask you to table this and just kind of focus on what I think are the important things, the reading, the math, and let's get the violence under control in our schools. I really appreciate the time you guys have allowed me to speak here on the city that we love.
Thank you. Hunter Knopfsinger.
Good evening. My name is Hunter Knopfsinger, and I'm a resident of Norfolk and an organizer with the Sierra Club Virginia chapter. I'm commenting tonight on the PPEA unsolicited proposal for Maury High School. While reviewing all of the proposals for the future of Maury High School, it was unclear if the board is also taking steps to make Norfolk Public Schools buildings more sustainable. Schools are one of the largest energy consumers in the United States, with school building energy consumption costing U.S. school districts more than $8 billion per year, also contributing greenhouse gas emissions equivalent to 18 coal-fired power plants. Incorporating electrification and energy efficiency measures into the renovation or reconstruction of Maury High School to create a net zero energy school would not only reduce the school's environmental impact, but also have a significant financial benefit over time. Net zero energy schools generate their own electricity through renewable sources such as solar panels, and thus reduce the need for grid electricity. This can result in substantial cost savings for the school district over the lifetime of the building, freeing up funds for other areas such as salaries for teachers and staff. In addition to cost savings, net zero schools create healthier learning environments for students and teachers. Improved indoor air quality, thermal comfort, and lighting can lead to higher student achievement and lower absenteeism rates. These buildings also provide opportunities for hands-on learning about sustainability and energy efficiency, which can benefit students for years to come. Norfolk Public Schools has the potential to be a leader for school districts across Hampton Roads for net zero buildings and have the first net zero building in the city of Norfolk for a public school. Adopting these measures in the Maury High School renovation or reconstruction project would set an example for other schools in the region to follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Henry Condi.
Excuse me, I left my reading glasses, so I'll do my best here. My name is Henry Condi. Don't have any kids in Norfolk Public Schools. This is concerning 5.03. By way of introduction, I arrived in Norfolk as a Navy captain to take command 23 years ago, and with subsequent orders to Naples, Italy. But while we were here, something happened, and we decided to make Norfolk our home. During my career, I went to OCS in Newport, Rhode Island, built in 1883. A subsequent tour I had in Fort McNair at the Naval War College, built in 1898. As a commander, I went to be the academic director at the Navy School in Athens, Georgia, and subsequently the executive officer, 56-acre campus, built in 1860. On a personal note, my education started on a dirt floor, one-room school in Puerto Rico, and I was blessed to be able to walk the halls of Duke University and Carnegie Mellon, 1838 and 1900 respectively. What do they have in common? They're older than Maury High School, and they are today serving the national interest despite their age. I've been involved with Maury since 2012. In 2014, I received a call from one of our council person and asked me to be part of a task force. And the first thing we did was a walkthrough of Maury High School. After we did the entire walkthrough, it was evident of kind of neglect, deferred maintenance, etc. I went right away, haven't been, by the way, done preservation myself personally. I contacted the State Historic Preservation Officer, and I said, hey, we cannot possibly be the only municipality in Virginia with this issue. He confirmed, you're not. So I said, can you give me some examples? And he sent me a number of examples, of which I selected Handley High School in Winchester, Virginia. There was almost identical issues that we are facing with Maury High School. I contacted I had a point of contact at Handley High School. They told us how they did it. we arranged to have a, ooh, that was quick.
Thank you.
Oh, that's cool. Maybe next time. That was quick.
Rakita Robinson, followed by Colin Kelly already spoke, followed by Kristen Truman.
Good evening. My name is Rakita Robinson. I'm a first grade teacher at Richard Bowling Elementary School, and I'm here with my colleagues today from Richard Bowling. As a teacher at this school, I've come before you today to recognize May is Mental Health Awareness Month and to express my concern with the lack of equity in position and opportunities among staff members. The latter has resulted in teachers being expected to work outside of their contract time, being passed over for coveted positions and even leading to teacher burnout. This year,
Sorry, this isn't an agenda topic. You'll need to wait till non-agenda items.
personnel issues are not in this issue? Personnel? This is personnel issues?
It doesn't sound, it,
Under decision
this
discussion.
is, yeah, this isn't, personnel in general, it's not a specific topic on
I've always
our
spoken
agenda.
about what's going on at RBES.
It'll need to just be on non-agenda items, which will be later in the meeting. So
Okay.
you can still speak on it, it's just later in the meeting.
Okay.
Christine Truman.
Hi, good evening. My name is Christine Truman, and I'm speaking for myself as well as for Dr. Anka Hacker, who is here, and Susan Pilato, who is here. All of us are parents of Norfolk Public School students. I'm a psychiatrist who practices in Norfolk. I've been practicing here for 18 years. Dr. Hacker is a family medicine physician practicing in the area for 20 years. Between us, we have 4 Norfolk School students, all high school students. My specialty is reproductive psychiatry, so I work almost exclusively with people who are pregnant or postpartum. I work very closely with the OBGYN providers in the community, as does Dr. Hacker. Every day, we support patients as they make informed decisions, both about their mental health, but also about their reproductive health. We deal every day with citizens of Norfolk who are making these decisions based on their education level and their healthcare intelligence and information. We support this curriculum. Many of our patients have suffered from trauma, sexual abuse, sexual assault. We support the curriculum because of the inclusion of topics that range from body autonomy to abstinence to many other important topics. We support it because it is comprehensive, it is medically accurate, it is trauma-informed, and it's inclusive. And it's mapped to evidence-based standards that include the CDC recommendations, the American Academy of Pediatrics guidelines, and also the National Health Education Standards. We appreciate that the curriculum fully acknowledges that parents are the primary sexuality educators for their children, and it provides tools and resources for parents. Parents are able to opt out of the curriculum, but we hope that they don't. Instead, this is an opportunity to participate in discussions with your children. In fact, the evidence from other places where it's been piloted has been that the outcomes are better when children, especially boys, have the family discussion to go along with the curriculum. Research estimates that 40% of adolescents have sexual intercourse before talking to their parents about safe sex, birth control, or sexually transmitted infections. And we know that 15% of U.S. pregnancies are unplanned. So we support the comprehensive self-education that is proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Lucille Canty.
Hello, everybody. I just want to say I hope I don't agree with what the psychiatrist just said. I'm a nurse. I do have 4 sons. I don't have any children in the school. I live in East Beach. My son bought me a house there. He's a doctor in Manhattan. I have another son that went to West Point, and he served in Iraq and Afghanistan. I have another son who is a teacher in Manhattan, and I have another son who is going to law school, and he works full-time at a law firm in Manhattan. He's doing both, and he has 3 children under 4. So I just want to say I would table this sex program because it is really horrible. It's from Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is the greatest industry for abortion in the whole United States. They do, that's their business. And when you talk about preventive medicine from Planned Parenthood for breast cancer, they don't even have a mammogram in any Planned Parenthood center. So they don't do that. They might anybody can refer someone to go get a mammogram, and that's what they do. So I want to just say that the teen pregnancy dropped from a rate of 43 to 17.2 the past 15 years here. And so I think you in Norfolk should stay the course. And what they need is a focus on academics and tutoring for those 50% who drop out for teen pregnancy. The other 50% who go and have abortions is very sad. And I've published on breast cancer in military medicine, and due to the development and architecture of the breasts, having a teen pregnancy actually protects against breast cancer. Having an abortion for your first pregnancy, if you're under 22 years old, increases your breast cancer risk by 800% before age 40. This is due to the blow to a woman's body. The liberal breast cancer prevention people, they never tell you about this risk or why in the 1960s before abortion, we had 1 in 20 women with breast cancer, and now we have 1 in 7. Also, having a teen abortion is a risk for more aggressive forms of breast cancer in your early 30s and 40s. Aside from that risk, and that's published data in military medicine that I published, aside from the risk of breast cancer, the woman has the risk of knowing the rest of her life that she's killed her own baby. And it's not a blob of cells. God is full of mercy and forgiveness, but Mother Nature does not forgive. And that's what, later on getting breast cancer. So abortion is never the good answer. Unplanned pregnancies, they've got birthright, we've got hope for life, we've got adoption, we have a lot of other ways, and it's the wrong answer for both the baby and the mother. And having this sex program from Planned Parenthood of Massachusetts is just wrong. And this is a 10-week baby in the womb, so the
Thank
feet.
you.
So they're not a blob.
Marie Toure.
Good evening, and thank you for letting us all speak. I'm here to talk about the family education program, and it is way too explicit. Parents are the first educators of their children, and this is such a sensitive thing. The children will let you know when they're ready to know what they're ready to know. And I've had 2 children, both of them attended Norfolk schools. My son graduated from Granby. And my daughter always commented, we moved to Portsmouth for a short period of time, but she always commented on how great the arts program was in Norfolk when she was in elementary school. So I appreciated your little videos there. But children learn by doing, okay? So this stuff is not just an academic exercise for them. And I don't think that's always taken into account. So I just briefly wanted to say I am against this curriculum, especially something put out by Planned Parenthood. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Suzanne Williams. Suzanne Williams. Okay. Anybody in the hallway?
Tiffany Watson.
Hello. Good evening. Esteemed school board members. My name is Tiffany Watson. I have 4 children in the Norfolk Public School System. I have 2 at Granby High School and 2 at Ocean View Elementary School. Sex education and Get Real Life should not in any way include the LGBT agenda. There is an agenda that's being pushed that we cannot ignore. My kids are 17, 15, 9, and 10. I took sex education and family life with approval of my mother, which included me taking home a baby, and we're not talking about that stuff. We're talking about being very explicit into things that they should not know about at the age they are. My kids are 9 and 10 years old, so that means that they're supposed to be going into this program in about 2 to 3 years. They are in no way mentally prepared to learn about the things that are in this agenda. No way at all prepared for that. And as a Christian mother, I believe that I should be the one to talk to my children about these things when they have questions about them, because of course they're going to have questions about them just like we did when we were kids. They're going to have those questions. But my mother told me about these things so that way I could know in her timing what she wanted me to know. When you have these programs in school, you're taking away the parents' rights to be able to talk to their kids about it in the time that they want to talk to them about it. And when there's something in the school, like they said, kids talk. So if one kid knows, all the kids are going to know. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten calls from Granby High School about gun threats, about whatever, about a bomb threat, me being outside of my kid's school for hours scared because I didn't know what was going on or if my child was harmed. This is what we need to be focusing on. Ocean View Elementary does not have a security guard in their school. This is the type of things we need to be focusing on, our kids' safety and their education. My child basically is he's not getting bullied, but he has kids in his class telling him, asking him answers for his tests every single day while he's in school. These are kids that are not learning what they need to be learning. We need to focus on that and not sex education or whatever the LGBTQ plus community is trying to push on our kids. It's in our cartoons, it's in the movies, and now we're trying to put it in the schools. We got to stop somewhere, and this is where it needs to stop. You guys have the power to make this decision, and we're trusting in you to be able to do this for our children. We put them in your schools, we put them under your trust and your care, so we're expecting you to make this decision and do the right thing.
Holzhauser. Kaylee Holzhauser. Oh, here she comes.
My name is Kaylee Holzhauser. I am a local Christian street preacher in Norfolk, Virginia. I do not have kids, and honestly, all this garbage being introduced in the schools makes me question if I even want to have kids. You know, back when I was in middle school, we actually had an explicit sex ed course. And you know what it did to me? It caused me to be a pervert when I was a kid. I was making sex jokes, I was doing things with boys. And the only reason why I didn't exactly lose my virginity before 18 is because my mom instilled the fear of God in me that if I came home pregnant or if she caught me doing sexual things as a kid, I'd be 6 feet under, if we're being honest. You know, I have a question for you guys. Are you out of your minds? Do you not realize the suicide rate of the transgender crowd or the rate of disease in LGBT as a whole? It is estimated from a study from the UCLA that 1.4%, or an estimated 300,000 youth ages 13 to 17 in the United States as a whole identifies as trans or another gender identity, and 0.5%, or 1.3 million adults identify as trans or another gender identity. According to the Trevor Project, a website the LGBT uses, 39% of the LGBT as a whole has attempted suicide, and more than half of the transgender population has attempted suicide. According to the CDC, 83% of syphilis cases, a sexually transmitted disease, were gay and bisexual men, and the LGBT Foundation website says that LGBT as a whole is at risk for an STD. I give these statistics because I want everyone in this room to think long and hard, including parents. Do you really want to subject your child to such a lifestyle? They aren't committing suicide because of society. Society already accepts them, including whole corporations. They have whole pride parades. They're getting diseases. They commit suicide because it's a mental illness. It's called gender dysphoria. And they're getting diseases because they have a sex culture and sleep around from person to person. I personally know this because I used to be part of the LGBT community. And so was my husband. You know, I identified as non-binary and I was bisexual. But I got born again through the Lord Jesus Christ. And that's what we need in these schools is Jesus and prayer. You aren't teaching children anything. You're confusing children and making their lives harder. Bone and DNA structure prove that there are only two genders, and shame on you on trying to twist science and God's creation to your own agenda. I want a better future for my generation. I'm Gen Z, by the way, and I want a better future for future generations. And teaching this garbage will only make it worse. And science says boys have a Y chromosome and girls have two X chromosomes. You cannot change facts and science. And if anyone thinks they are a different gender, need to be treated for gender dysphoria and not catered to.
Thank you. Philip Holzhauser.
Can you say that louder?
Philip Holzhauser.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Philip Holzhauser. This is my wife. Well, we're local street preachers here. I currently do not have kids in Norfolk. Same reason. I'm kind of questioning with how wicked this world's getting. I will say one thing that is kind of pricked my interest. I'm here to speak about the 4.05, the family life. I agree with my wife. I agree with a lot of other people that it's degenerate garbage that doesn't need to be taught to our children. I believe that there is an agenda that Planned Parenthood is pushing. See, they're going to teach your kids about sex, and when your kids screw up because they got taught young about sex, your kids are going to get pregnant, and then where are they going to go? They're going to go make money for Planned Parenthood. That's what their agenda is. It's not keeping healthy. It's not staying safe. It's money for Planned Parenthood. And if you're a parent in here and you're not raising your kid right and you're saying, oh yeah, it's fine to go sleep around and be degenerate, whatever, well, I have a verse for you. I have a verse in the Bible which is we need to raise our kids in the Bible. If you have kids, you need to be raising them in the Bible. Trying to find it. Oh yeah, I got a minute and 22 seconds. There it is, 6. Proverbs 22, verse 6. Train a child up in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. I have a question for you. Are you training your children in this Bible here? Or are you training them in the words of the LGBT and the other degenerates out there that it's good to have free sex and free love and have abortions? Because that's degeneracy, and you're going to be facing God's judgment on Judgment Day for what you taught your kids and how you raised your kids and whether you taught your kids to honor God. So that's what you need to do is teach your kids to honor God, because this is degeneracy pushed by a baby murder mill that murders millions of babies. You have, 65 million babies murdered since Roe v. Wade? Roe v. Wade was passed by a lie. Norma McCorvey wasn't even raped. She recanted years later and said she wasn't even raped. Yet y'all think, oh, it's great to have an abortion. I can do whatever I want. I can be a free woman. That's degeneracy, and this country needs to get back to God. Yes, sir. And I think it's very telling you were all fine saying a pledge of allegiance, but you didn't say a dang prayer. The school board meeting should be started with a prayer, because the only reason any of y'all woke up this morning is because God allowed you to. You need to thank Him for it.
Thank you.
Amen. And the last speaker that is signed up for agenda comments, citizen comments on agenda items only is Sam, and I didn't catch your last name. Is it Pilato or Pilato? Sam on River? Pilato. Okay. It's missing the T. Come on.
Good evening.
Good evening. I am Sam Pilato, and I am here speaking as the result of what we have been talking about tonight, and that is the Family Life Education Plan. I have been through this so-called explicit plan, and I'll just talk about some of the things that I've been taught and some of the values I have. I have never thought to harm or unconsensually assault someone during sexual intercourse. I understand, thankfully, the complexity of each individual's gender and sexual identity, and I do not hate anyone for their views on that, and I do not hate anyone because of their gender identity or sexual identity. I also understand when someone is consenting to sex or when someone is not consenting to sex. And I feel this program is very important for that information so that we can stop things such as rape and sexual harassment, which has been seen throughout this country. I see it on the news almost every day, sexual harassment cases or rape cases. And I think these programs are helping to stop putting into these horrendous crimes. Sorry. We talk about how the innocence of these children are being ruined by these programs, but times are moving fast. Children are seeing things online. I know, as I was recently a child myself, a 6-year-old shot a teacher in their school, and we are worried about them hearing about the word sex or about hearing about the LGBT community. By inhibiting them from hearing these things or about inhibiting any of these adolescents from hearing about the LGBT community, we're reinforcing this taboo and stigma that leads to further oppression of the LGBT community who are just like you and I. And the further enforcement of this sexual harassment and rape we have seen throughout our American industry. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Dr. Martin, that concludes our speakers, and the revised number of speakers were 28.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by, I'm sorry, which one of, who's?
Gabriel.
Dr. Gabriel seconded, thank you. Go ahead, please call the question, Ms. Tanner.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Campson?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye. The consent agenda has passed. Thank you, everyone, for voting. Okay, up next, we have our monthly financial report. Mr. Jenkins, proceed when you're ready.
Good evening, Chairwoman Martin, Vice Chair Moore, Buffalo, Dr. Birdsong, members of the school board. This evening, I will review financial report for the month of April. The April report covers 10 months for the fiscal year that started July 1st. As with previous reports, it reflects activity taking place between July 1st and April 30th. As recorded by May 4th. General fund collections during the first 10 months totaled $301.8 million. This is 78.7% of your $383 million budget. That is general fund budget. During the previous 2 years, collections ranged between 76 and 77%, so this year is just a little ahead of the last two. On page 3 of the highlights, we provide a graph of revenue and spending for the current fiscal year. By the end of April, we had spent or encumbered $286.5 million, which is 3/4 of our budget. Revenue, again, was $301.8 million. During the previous 2 years, Spending at the same point in time ranged between 75 and 78% of the budget. So this year's spending is similar to the previous 2 years. On page 4, another paragraphs, one of revenue, the one at the top, and then his spending is at the lower graph. This presents the monthly revenue and spending for each of the months in the current and previous 2 years. Our monthly budget trend is in the green background. Collections are a little ahead of the previous year. More detailed information begins on page 5. On page 16 of the report, we provided 3 budget transfers that exceeded $50,000. The first was to transfer $130,000 from several facility accounts to address repairs. The second transferred vacancy savings in the to contract services account so that we could work on the 23 fiscal audit that is starting at the end of this year. And the last one transferred tuition savings in the Department of Learning Support to cover contracted services related to increased level of contracted work because of the large vacancy rate. Chairman Martin, this concludes my comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Any questions? Dr. Martin, go ahead.
Here, let's get to it. All right, thank you, Mr. Jenkins. I have a couple of questions related to the budget transfers. Let me get to the page.
16.
Yep, 16. So for the journal number 1056, it's the second transfer. Could you share a little more about, well, number one, what the bonus, the one-time payment, was that funds that were left over or not used? Can you
It's
explain?
actually the part of the bonus that wasn't paid out because there were so many vacancies. So
Okay.
it's money that we had set aside for bonuses, but positions were vacant.
Okay. All right, so those were for vacant positions, and then
The bonuses we paid out were as you approved.
Right.
Right.
Right, so that's why I was wondering the amount that was remaining after the one-time bonuses
Correct.
were
That is-
distributed,
that's
right? Okay. And then so the financial audit, the 2023 financial audit wasn't already included, or?
What's included in 23 budget was the audit for fiscal 22, which we started during fiscal 23. This year's audit, we're starting earlier, largely in hopes of finishing early, frankly. So we are actually starting the work. The audit team is starting, they've already started.
Okay.
So, and we needed to issue a purchase order to them.
To get that going for the 23.
So
okay.
for this year, there will be 2 audit fees, and then
I
it'll
understand.
kick back to 1.
Okay, that makes sense. And that, and I know I've shared this before, but I think, I think a great way to, I guess, alleviate some of the questions on this end is maybe in the notes.
A better okay.
Yeah,
Thank
well, just a little more clarification on why that might be the case, because that's a
We'll work on that.
understandable explanation. And if you could also shed a little more light on journal number 1588 on the special education transfers.
Sure.
More information.
We did not have as much tuition. The tuition is typically paid to CSEP. I think that's practically all of it is for CSEP. We had fewer students referred. However, we have a lot of vacancies in our classrooms and in the, like OT and PT, some of the other services, so we had to hire contractors to fill the work that employees typically provide. So we took the savings, some of the savings in the tuition account, and applied it to the contracted services that we're having to pay that were not funded because we had funded staff persons who were vacant.
Okay.
Does that help?
And can you give a little more description about who the contracted services were with, or are they for specific like tutors or?
No, these are special education services.
Okay.
So I would probably, I'm not sure exactly which
Okay.
ones, but they were all contracted services, and there was a range of services. Some of them were for classroom teachers, but others for ancillary support.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Jordan.
Just a couple. On page 5, can you give a little more insight as to why we're seeing higher spending? You have a note that spending is approximately $9.9 million higher than the same period last year. Can you give us a sense of what's driving that?
Well, our budget is higher. We gave pay raises. Health insurance cost increased. I mean, it's the spending is higher, but it's relatively it's in line with previous years, and the percentage that we have spent this year is pretty much in line with prior years. In fact, I think it may have been just slightly lower, but
Okay, I appreciate that.
it's increased costs that we had budgeted.
Thank you. I thought that might have been the case, but I appreciate you clarifying that. And currently, where we have revenue in excess of expenditures, $15.2 million, is that likely carry forward funds? What are we looking at in terms of what our revenue in excess of expenditures may be as we're in this last quarter?
I suspect that, I expect that we will have a surplus, that our spending is higher than our revenues coming in are higher than their expenses. To a large extent, it's related to the vacancy rate, and it's related to the vacancy savings and the reversion that we've experienced during the entire period of the pandemic. At the last report that I looked at, and I apologize, it's been a couple of months ago, but 13% of all budgeted positions in the general fund were vacant. So that's a large reason for the difference between the revenue and the expenses. State revenue is coming in as it was projected. The city funding of the school board is as was projected. The thing that's not is we have fewer teachers and fewer support staff. So those vacancies are driving a lot of this.
Thank you.
Jenkins, I'm sorry, can you speak into the microphone?
Oh, certainly, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No, I just had a comment just for the board as we look at our, eventually being able to act on our final budget, and maybe as we have conversations over the summer, I just want to reiterate this concern that I've raised before, that because we have these vacancies, then we are ending up with these surpluses that, if we were filling the vacancies, would be going to provide for the resources that we say we need in order to address our student needs. And so when we then, at the end of the year, and I think maybe this is part of the conversation we need to have with council as part of the funding formula, being able to consider how we can utilize those resources to reinvest in our salary structure and in our classroom needs, so that we don't find ourselves continuing to have these double-digit excesses that are intended to support students, and then we end up with our hands tied in terms of one-time expenditures that then result in us using them for needs other than students. And so this is maybe the third or fourth year, and it's gotten exacerbated by the pandemic. And so I just wanted to raise that again, that when we're having these discussions and I'm raising this concern, this is part of what I'm following in terms of vacancies. And then when we look at our vacancy rates in some of our schools that are having some of the greatest academic challenges, to me, it is as though we are under-resourcing the needs that we have in our students that are then impacting student outcomes. And then when we have the discussions, I think we need to have discussions about how we then take these excessive revenues and invest them back into the classroom and into the personnel and into student outcomes. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins.
I move that we approve the proposed financial report.
Thank you, Dr.
Subject to
Gabriel. Can I
audit.
get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Clanton. Ms. Tanner, please call the question.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Campson?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye. Okay, up next we have, can I get a motion to, I have it written out, actually. I have something specific I want to say. We're on 5.0. Oh, wait, where are we? Oh, I hadn't marked off the wrong one. Okay. Up next, we have the NPS financial audit presentation.
Yes.
And Mr. Jenkins.
Yes, Chairman Martin, Chairwoman, excuse me. Members of the board and Dr. Birdsong, each year, the Norfolk Public Schools undertakes an independent audit of the financial statements to ensure reports accurately reflect our financial position. The audit was substantially completed in December, and we received preliminary reports in January. I especially appreciate our accounting director, Liesl DeBerry. Liesl, stand up. Along with accounting manager Sandra Gaskins for their roles in completing the financial reports. While the auditors review our reports and supporting documents, it is Liesl and Sandra who actually prepared many of the reports and provided documentation to them. I thank you both for your dedication and perseverance. Tonight, Greg Busick, our certified public accountant with the firm Clifton, Larson, and Allen, has joined us. Mr. Busick led the audit team. His team was very helpful, and we appreciate the cooperative spirit that they bring to the engagement. Mr. Busick will now talk to you about the audit and the conclusions. Correct.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity to present to you this evening. I want to start off just by thanking everyone at NPS for their help. We work with a number of different folks throughout the organization. We work with everyone in accounting and finance. We work with grants folks. We talk with the audit committee, who's a representative of the board. And we go through a process. And the process starts, like they mentioned, the process has started now for next year. So we're getting an early start on it. This year contract's a little bit earlier too, so everything's kind of falling in line. So with the hope of finishing a little faster at the end of the year. So again, thanks to everyone for their help. We couldn't do it without their help. So when you look at the financial statements, if everyone's had a chance to read them, it's 130 pages plus of information there. When you look at it, there's a number of different sections. So it's important that you read the opinion to the financial statements that's included in the front of the document. And what you may notice this year is, if you compare it to last year, it looks a little different. There's been a standard change for the audit report and some of the certain other things included in the financial statements. But essentially it says the same thing this year as it said in the past, is that you've received an unmodified opinion. That's also known as a clean opinion. That's the highest form of assurance that we can give, highest form of assurance that you can get. That's what you want. It's the feather in the cap of the organization. So keep that in mind. So when you take a look at the report, you'll see that the various reports, that there were no findings this year included in the financial report, the student activity report, or in the single audit report. And the single audit is your federal grant expenditure. So good year compliance-wise, so no findings to report there. Let's see what else we do. So there are some important communications I need to share with you. That's things that we've discussed with the audit committee, but I thought I would share with you guys too. There's a few things. When you look at the financial statements, there are estimates within the financial statements. So when you look at the numbers, read the notes. There's a lot of information behind there. So you'll see, as you look at the report, you'll see there's a transmittal letter, there's management's discussion and analysis, then there's financial statements, then there's notes. You can't read them right now real quick while I'm talking, I guarantee you. But then behind that, there's required supplementary information, and then there's statistical tables. So there's a lot of information there, and our opinion talks about the different level of assurance that we provide there. So just keep that in mind as you look at the numbers, read the notes, they tell the story behind the numbers. Important to look there. A couple of the big items there that we use, that the city or the NPS uses outside experts for, is OPEB and pension. So they have actuaries that do those calculations for them. So And there are big numbers in the financial statements. And then there's incurred but not recorded is also part of your self-insurance that's included there. But overall, I can tell you that management was very cooperative. No difficulties in performing audit procedures. They didn't push back on any of the work that we wanted to do. We had no adjustments that we proposed as part of the audit, so management's work was in good condition. No disagreements, as I mentioned. There was a change in accounting principle for this year. There was a new lease standard that happened. Didn't have a huge impact on NPS, but it did require some additional work. There's a new standard coming for next year that's related to software. That's affecting the whole government industry. So we've already started talking with management about that. That's called SBITA. You might hear that kind of going, but it actually stands for Software-Based Information Technology Arrangements. So going through, I mentioned no findings, and I mentioned the other information within the report. So that's everything I wanted to share with you today. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead, Mr. Jordan.
Just one. On page 24, there's a reference to general fund budgetary highlights for 2022 fiscal year include. And the first statement says general fund revenue was $5.1 million less than budgeted. The amount budgeted from the city of Norfolk reflects a decrease of $4.1 million. And then it explains the difference. Can you just speak to that, or maybe Mr. Jenkins can speak to that again?
I might ask Mr.
Just,
Jenkins to get
yeah,
handle
just
that
want to make
one.
sure I'm following that again.
I would love to say I could, but I would happily send you an email
Okay.
that explains
All
it.
right. Send it to everybody if you would.
I would be
Okay.
happy to.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
I move that we approve the MPS financial audit. I'm not sure if that's the appropriate motion to make for this
Accept it.
particular report.
Make receipt.
Okay, so it was moved by Dr. Gabriel and seconded by Mr. Clanton. Please call the question.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Campson? Aye. Clanton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye, thank you. Can I get a motion to accept the PPEA? Oh, is he still up?
Administration.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought it was, I'm really excited to keep moving forward, so.
Great.
Excuse me.
Okay. As has been discussed this evening, there is a public-private partnership proposal that we have received, and this is a recommendation from the working group and the recommendation that was made to Dr. Birdsong, and she is recommending to you. So we recommend the acceptance of the proposal from Heartland Construction for further review, and that Norfolk Public Schools solicit competing proposals in accordance with school board policy and the Public-Private Education Facilities and Infrastructure Act of 2002. This will require posting notice so that competing offers can be made and received within a period of not less than 90 days. The school board's acceptance of Heartland's proposal is not a binding agreement with Heartland to construct a new school. The superintendent's working group must review all competing proposals and then advise the superintendent of the proposal that best meets the board's needs for their consideration. The school board must then authorize the superintendent and working group to negotiate an interim contract agreement with an offerer of the preferred proposal. This may or may not be Heartland. No construction will commence until both the school board and the city council approve any contract that may emerge. Thank you, Dr. Martin.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move that we accept the recommendation of the administration.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Gabriel.
Dr. Martin, I'm going to vote in support. I just ask if I can get Mr. Jenkins to clarify one thing. The internal working group, can you just describe what that is so that everyone understands what you mean when you reference the working group?
I'll be glad to. It's composed primarily of staff persons. The actual members included myself, Mr. Fraley, Rick Fraley, Dr. Kimsey was on the committee. There was a person from their facilities group. Mrs. Berg, the principal, was on the committee. And I'm sure I'm going to forget a couple, but there were also 2 members from the city manager staff, Mr. Roberts and Ms. Whiteside.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Go ahead, Ms. Tanner.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Campson?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye. Okay, it passed. Okay, up next we have the personnel report.
Dr. Martin, I move that we approve the personnel report as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Gabriel, and it was seconded by Mr. Jordan. Ms. Tanner, please go ahead.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Campson?
Aye.
Clanton?
Abstain.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye. Okay, and now we have item 5.05. Can I get a motion to approve the Family Life Education Plan proposal?
Dr. Martin?
Yes?
Okay. I move to adopt the Get Real Comprehensive Sex Education That Works curriculum, which is a medically appropriate, developmentally appropriate, culturally sensitive, and inclusive curriculum.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Gabriel, seconded. Ms. Tanner, please call the question.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Campson?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Nay.
And Martin?
Aye. Thank you, everyone. It passed. Up next, we have a discussion of our superintendent's evaluation timeline draft. So everyone should have received that.
Madam Chair, I'm not sure if there's any additional discussion, but I'm prepared to move for adoption and that
Okay.
we go with the timeline.
Okay, then go ahead and make a
I
motion.
move that we adopt the timeline presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Go ahead, Ms. Buffalo. Go
Ms.
ahead.
Buffalo seconded. Okay, any discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Jordan.
I just want to, if I can, just want to make sure I can follow the date. So no meeting on the 12th, and then on the 21st, closed session. Is the meeting on the, which meeting is it when we have the final conversation with the superintendent? That's
28th.
The 28th, but what I'm proposing here is that it's with board leadership. So it's would be Ms. Buffalo and I meeting with Dr. Birdsong. So that's the proposal. And let me just add one thing about this timeline. I tried to make sure that we didn't have any special meetings.
Yeah, I would, just on that last point, I think it's always been helpful to have the full board present, even if the chair and the vice chair are leading the discussion. And so I'm fine with the timeline, but I like for us to have further consideration in terms of the full board being present as part of the discussion.
Does anyone want to comment on that?
I agree with that.
I don't have Madam Chair, I don't have an issue with it. I mean, I think if the leadership is presenting, and if board members who are available want to be present, that they have the right to do so, but that we're clearly identifying that those who are speaking and delivering the evaluation is the leadership, the chair and the vice chair. So I don't have a problem with that.
Can you repeat the last part?
That the chair and the vice chair are delivering that, the evaluation, but if other board members want to be present, who are available, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
I agree. I support that as well.
Okay.
So I'd like to, if, I'd accept it as a friendly amendment, that we add that in there, that make it, board members can be present, which is an.
So it will be, the June 28th will be
Yep.
a special call meeting then.
But they won't be talking, they'll be able to sit in.
Yeah, and So the 28th will be a special call meeting, I think she said.
Okay. Okay, anyone else? All right, thank you.
Yep.
Are we voting?
That's when they have to vote.
Do you want to move? Oh, the
I've already
motion's
moved it, yep.
already
Yep.
been made. So,
Call the
Ms.
question.
Tanner, can you please call the question?
Okay. Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Campson? Aye. Clanton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye. Okay, thank you, everyone. That passed. Next, we have item Booker T. Washington, a feasibility study.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to present the following motion, which I had submitted to my colleagues prior to and working with Mr. Jordan. This is an administrative action motion related to Booker T. Washington STEAM High School. I move that the School Board of the City of Norfolk hereby designate Booker T. Washington as a STEAM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics High School, and further directs the administration to develop comprehensive curricula and programs within the framework. Further, the framework includes, but is not limited to, educational specifications and programming offering enhanced performance, visual and multimedia arts, AV, audiovisual, and communications technology, cybersecurity, entrepreneurship, and hospitality, commencing in phases beginning in 2024.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Second. Any questions or any comments? Okay. Ms. Tanner, please call the question.
Basine?
Aye.
Buffalo?
Aye.
Campson? Aye. Clanton?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye. Okay, it passed. Thank you very much. Up next, we have citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Ms. Tanner, do we have anyone signed up?
Yes.
How many people?
If they're still here, we have Melissa Corrigan.
Okay, thank you.
How many more? They're here. Someone is not here, so I think it's just two.
Okay.
So we'll just have to.
Good evening.
Respond.
Hi, my name is Melissa Corrigan. My children are students at Norview High School. I suggest you simply type in Norview in TikTok to see the sheer amount of fight videos and other disturbing images and videos, one of which is a video of a teacher screencasting pornography onto the school's smart board during class with a classroom full of students, and he is still employed at that school. Marijuana smoke wafts through the hallways, and the restrooms are filled with both marijuana and vape smoke. That will set the scene for you for what a day in my children's life is like inside Norview High School. One of my children recently received a video and a group text of Norview students with a clear threat to Norview High School by name. He immediately reported it to me. I immediately reported it to the school district tip line, Vector Tips, and the Norfolk Police tip line, P3 Tips. Neither tip went anywhere. I received no notification it was even received. So the following day, a Sunday, I posted the warning on Nextdoor to alert other parents there was this threat going around, naming Norview High School by name and saying, quote, I have a surprise planned for Wednesday at 12 p.m. I advise you not to come to school. Other parents were understandably alarmed, and somehow a screenshot of my Nextdoor post made it to Norview administrators, who then contacted me, not through the official school district tip line, but through the Nextdoor gossip vine, essentially. It was only then that Norfolk police were alerted. The next day, students returned to school, and the metal detectors the school already owns were simply sitting beside the entrance doors, and students were not even asked to go through the metal detectors, hours after a video threatening violence to the school was circulated. Many students turned around and went home because they didn't feel safe entering the building with zero visible signs of additional security present. This is but the latest of many incidents of violence at the school. My other son is transgender and has been repeatedly harassed and assaulted, even students trying to pull down his pants to see what he has, and students looking over the bathroom stall when he's using the restroom. No student has ever been disciplined for their assault and sexual harassment of my son, ever, to my knowledge. In fact, when he was punched by another student, he was removed from the classroom and his assaulter allowed to stay. As a result, my son's grades in that course plummeted. He had a B+ at the time of the assault because the teacher whose class he was removed from taught the subject, algebra, in a way he understood, while the teacher to whose class he was moved did not instruct in the same way, and my son is lost. He is now facing failing that course because he was moved out of the classroom where he was thriving and he was assaulted. Additionally, when he reported students touching his body, trying to pull down his pants, and looking into his stall in the bathroom, all of which could easily be categorized as sexual harassment and assault, a Norview administrator told him he needed to understand that kids are curious. The whole trans thing is still pretty new. If a 14-year-old boy were to be curious about female anatomy, would he be excused for pulling up a female student's shirt? Absolutely not, I assume. I assume he would be disciplined. But my son was told to excuse these students harassing and assaulting him, for they were curious.
And the next speaker is Edgar Richard.
Good evening. I'm a ninth grade student at Norview High School, and I believe that we have a serious issue at that school. The administration has frequently refused to take sexual assault seriously at that school, including a protest happening last year, and it's still being at the same level, if not worse. I've had multiple incidents happen to me personally of people touching me, looking over stall doors, everything she just said, and, excuse me. And when I went to administration, I was met with victim blaming, being told that it is my fault for being openly transgender and proudly transgender, or that is somehow okay for them because they are curious. This, in my opinion, shows a very clear disregard for the safety of students as a whole, not just specifically all students, but specifically minorities who are already in danger in schools due to bullying and discrimination, and even more specifically LGBTQ students. And I am not the only student who has gone through things like this. There is a large community of us who have gone through sexual assault at not just Norview, but all NPS schools. And the administration does not take it seriously, in my opinion. I think there is a, in my opinion, disgusting amount of victim blaming in NPS that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Maureen Anderson. He's checking to see if she's in the hallway. Hold on. No? Okay. And then Rakita Robinson.
And I hope when I'm finished, it should be agenda item 504. I should have said that before, that I'm personnel report. Good evening. My name is Rakita Robinson, first grade teacher at Richard Bowling Elementary School. As a teacher at this school, I've come before you today to talk about mental health awareness and express my concern about the lack of equity in position opportunities among staff in my school. The latter has resulted in teachers being expected to work outside of their contract time, being passed over for coveted positions, and even leading to teacher burnout. This year and last year, I shared my desire to teach pre-K in my school to administration. Our BES has a special part in my heart, as my mom attended Richard Bowling Elementary School. So imagine my mental state as a 31-year veteran teacher who is told by her principal that teaching pre-K is too hard of a job for her and that she would never be considered for that position. The same principal called around to other elementary schools asking principals if they had an opening for the teacher. One more illustration. Imagine the same principal offering 5 teachers, one from each grade level, leadership training in Orlando this summer, and when the 31-year veteran teacher is the first one to respond to this opportunity, she's once again told that she doesn't qualify for that position either. But instead, her grade level will just not be represented at the conference. Sound like we have an equity problem? Where exactly does a teacher who has been told that she's an effective teacher, that she works well with her students and parents, and she uplifts and serves her colleagues, where does she get her validation? We need to recognize that burnout is real. Don't just offer me some counseling sessions. Offer PD on stress management and focus on self-care. I understand attending curriculum-focused PD, but what if the teachers already attended that same PD? Administrators could set clear expectations, reasonable workloads, allow for flexibility in scheduling and teaching methods. Creating a positive and supportive working environment can go a long way in preventing burnout. This year, we celebrated staff appreciation, not teacher appreciation at our school. Throughout the school year, we celebrated bus drivers, custodians, administrative assistants, and even the administrators with special recognition. But on the week to celebrate teachers and nurses, it was staff appreciation. RBHS teachers fear retaliation from administration if they come forward to share these experiences, resulting in many leaving their employment at the school and in the district. This has led to a loss of experienced and dedicated educators, impacting the quality of education provided to our students. I request an investigation to be conducted to identify the root causes of these issues and to find resolutions that ensure equity in position and opportunities for all staff members. Our students deserve the best role models and education possible, and this can only be achieved when all our teachers are supported and valued through equity. Thank you, and I hope that was 504.
Thank you.
And this concludes our speakers on non-agenda items.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Please be safe driving home.